One, two, three, the lawn feed.
Welcome back to the Lawn Feed. I am Ope. Alongside me is Andrew with Dad Bod Lawn and Vince with Rooted Lawn Co. As always, good to see you guys again, and Happy New Year. I think this is this is definitely our first episode for the new year, so Happy 2023. Before we get rolling, we just want to shout out to everyone listening on wherever you're listening to us, and just say thank you for your support, your listenership, and thank you again for joining us, especially on the off-season shows. That means a lot to us. So make sure to go click that like, go click that subscribe wherever you're viewing us, and be sure to leave some positive reviews where we're able. Another thing to go check out is our website after the show. We've got a lot of cool merch on there, lawn related merch, but where I think we're all wearing it, and go check that out. Fun fact, this will absolutely make your lawn look better overnight wearing one of these shirts. Whoa. And you can go check out those pieces of merch and enter Brad15 as a promo code to get 15% off of your entire order. So do check that out. Today is a really cool episode for us at the Lawn Feed, for a lot of different reasons, but primarily we have our first international guest joining us all the way from the land down under. How did I do? That wasn't great. That wasn't great. Yeah. That wasn't good. But all the way from Australia, we have Nick, who has an Instagram and TikTok, for that matter. It goes by Lawns in Good Nick. Nick, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Lawn Feed.
Welcome. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, talking about some things I love, being a dad, and yeah, my lawn, which is, they're close in how much for both of those. I should have my wife in there somewhere too, shouldn't I? But yeah, no. Thanks for having me on.
She gets it, I think, right? So yeah, I mean, lawns and dads, I think that's two things that go hand in hand, especially on this show. So like I said, joined us all the way from Australia, which is really, really cool. And without further ado, let's kind of dive straight into you. Well, that sounded really bad. We're going to rewind that and try that over again. We're not going to dive into you. We're not going to dive into that. Nick, you're obviously a dad. You've got a huge following on Instagram, 35K, I think 35-ish K on TikTok as well. So go follow him if you haven't on his socials. But you're a dad. You showcase yourself as a dad on your channels all the time. What is the makeup? How many kids do you have? Boys, girls? What do you have?
Yeah, so we've got Ollie, who's a little over 3.5. He'll be 4 in April. So yeah, he's an absolute legend. Ollie, he's a good little helper. We finished building his sandpit last week, and that was a good video that went up. But yeah, so he's 3.5, and we've got Hudson, who's 1.5, a little over 1.5, and yeah, he's an absolute terror at the moment. He's learning how to talk. His favorite thing to say is no to absolutely everything. We're trying to teach him to stop hitting his brother and throwing things and all that sort of stuff. So he's at that little testing sort of age, but no, they're both a lot of fun. So
that's awesome. Boys. That's awesome. Well, congratulations, and you're in the thick of it, which is awesome. And it's also reassuring to know that you got the same problems overseas that we deal with over here. So that's really good to know. Well, we'll get into the rest of that shortly. On this show, we do a segment called Wins and Losses, and this portion of the podcast is sponsored by ForeFathers, a polo company that's elevating dad apparel for the DIY dad, much like us, and the OG of that Turf Dad polo. We have a special code for you to use for all of the listeners to go over to their site and get whatever you would like for 25% off of your order at shopforefathers.com. Use promo code THELAWNFEED for 25% off of your entire order at checkout. And the purpose of this section is really just to kind of share some relatable common L's and W's as a dad. So Nick, 1 W, 1 L for being a dad. What do you got?
So yeah, my win. I'll start with the win. Is that a few weeks ago we had my family, my wife's family over just before Christmas, and she put him to bed accidentally without a nappy on. So we've been thinking for a while about we've got to toilet train him, and through the night, and really thinking about how we're going to do it. And then the next morning, I'm up and I'm sort of laying on the couch, not feeling the best. And Ollie says to me, "My mum didn't put a nappy on me last night," and I was like, "What?" And he obviously hadn't wet the bed or anything like that. So touch wood, it's been 2.5, 3 weeks now. We've had one half an accident where we didn't have to change the whole bed. So that's been a huge win. We're sort of worried about handling that process of toilet training overnight, and he just did it by accident. So that was a big win.
Okay,
For sure.
Straight into the loss.
So
Vince, go ahead.
So a nappy for Americans, a nappy is a diaper.
Diaper. Sorry, I didn't add that to my conversions over here.
and they also say touch wood, which is knock on wood.
Yep, same thing.
Just a quick. We're not touching the wood like you think we're touching wood, but we're getting there. We're bringing everybody together.
So just to be clear, did your wife put your son to bed like fully commando with nothing, like no underwear, or was there underwear?
Yeah, he's wearing underwear. He'd been running around all day wearing like pajama pants because they were Christmas pants. Like they, got Santa.
That'll soak right on through
there and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
So he was already in pajama pants. So she was like, "Yep, cool, off to bed." Just all out of routine and people everywhere. And so worked out for us really well.
Yeah. That's awesome. What about 1L? Where'd you fall flat on your face?
So we got given some texters, like a big pencil case full of texters. I don't know what you guys call those. Markers. I'm not sure.
Sure. Markers. There we go.
Yeah. So they were intended for drawing on paper and whatnot, but of course Hudson and what I just talked about before with him, they turned into drawing over everything that's not paper. We are replacing, we've been in our house for a little over 2 months, and so we are going to be replacing carpets and things like that. So when the texture goes on the carpet, we're obviously worried about it, but we're not, it's not like it's brand new, nice carpet or anything. But we sort of got to a point with that where we kept taking it off him and saying, no, only on the paper, but he's a bit too young to understand that. And then we sort of realized that it's not him at fault. That's us. Why have we not taken the textures away completely and just said, no, these aren't coming back out of the cupboard, for a few months or however long. So that was an L for me and my wife until we actually had this moment a few days ago where it was like, hang on, this is our fault. We need to take these away. So, anyway, there was a little bit of texture on some of our carpet throughout the house, but lucky they're getting replaced eventually when he's older.
For sure. That's awesome. That usually happens. Get the markers everywhere.
Yeah, it definitely happens at my house. Hydrogen peroxide's your friend. So consider that. It'll just kind of make it disappear, some of that stuff. So try that out. It shouldn't damage anything. But I'm also not going to be the one responsible if it does damage anybody's stuff, okay? Let's be clear on that. But hey, Nick.
Sorry, man.
You've got permanent, hang on, you got permanent marker on your...
Yeah, I've got some permanent marker on the dining table at the moment.
So here's a life hack I learned last week at the Christmas table. Take a dry erase marker and go over it, and it'll come right out.
Okay.
A dry erase marker?
Yeah, it actually worked. I took a permanent marker and we did the thing, and I'm like, there's no way this works. And we put a dry erase marker right over it, and you literally wash it right off with a paper towel.
We might need to stop this episode right now. I might need to go try this right now.
Life hacks.
Try it when we get off of the podcast and let us know if it worked or not.
Hopefully it works.
It was the way. Yeah, hopefully. Well, it's permanent marker. It can't get any worse.
Yeah, it's not. The dry erase isn't going to do much, but wow. Anyways, we could talk all night about these dad hacks, which we might need to at another time. But Nick, dude, I love your channel. You're pumping out content all the time, and like I really want to know, how did you turn into such a lawn geek, and why did you decide to put it online for the masses to see? And why do you continue to do this?
Yeah, I think it's just enjoyment is where it all comes from. I've got this picture that I think was probably the first time I ever stood back after mowing my lawn and went, wow, that looks nice. You know, it looks nice and tidy and green. And it was not because I'd done anything special to it, but at our old house, we'd renovated the inside heavily and just come out and thrown heaps of stuff on the front lawn. So it was just dead, big sections of it and overgrown and everything. And just gradually was just mowing it as you do, because you've got grass, so you've got to cut it. And yeah, this one day I stood back and went, that looks all right. And then throughout sort of lockdowns and things like that, I must have just gone onto YouTube one day and Googled lawn tips or something like that. And from there just fell down the YouTube rabbit hole, and I got onto a channel called Lawn Tips, who's the biggest channel in Australia. Ben's a great guy, and puts out some great content. So yeah, just watching video after video, and slowly that became what was in my Instagram feed. And then just on my personal account, I'd sort of stand back and take a photo of the lawn and put it on there. And then my wife, who's my absolute biggest supporter, quite often in bed I'll roll over and be like, hey, watch this, like, what do you think, is this all right? But yeah, so she was like, you need to make an account, like you need to make an Instagram account. So I eventually gave in to that. She put it on her story and everything, what should it be called, and came up with the name. And so she really pushed me in that direction. And I think I started out being like, all right, I don't want my face on there. I don't want to post videos and stuff. I just want to put up pictures of my lawn. Like, I don't want to, go too crazy with it or anything. And my goal to begin with was to not go 3 days without posting, to sort of post at least, sort of 2, 3, 4 times a week. And now I post a reel that I've spent 45 minutes editing just about every day. And, it's a big part of my life, and something that I just, overall, that's the thing that I said to begin with. It's just enjoyment. It's just a hobby that I really, really enjoy. I think I've been able to share a lot of stuff that I get good feedback that it's helped people. And I think in the end, the goal of my social media is to get people to spend less time on social media, to get out, to look after their lawn, to take their kids out there if they've got kids, make a nice space for their kids to play in, and all that sort of thing, and to enjoy. So yeah, I think that's sort of been the progression of getting into it and where I'm at now. So yeah, it's
kind of hard. It's kind of hard to do that when you keep creating binge-worthy content, though. They're just going to stay inside.
Well, he wants them to be on social media only to watch his channel and then go outside and do those things. Yeah. It's pretty awesome that your wife is a huge supporter, that she encouraged you to do that. I mean, we all have very supportive wives. You have to, doing what we do, as you know. And you also mentioned that you just moved to a new house. Kind of talk us through your old house, where it all started, and kind of what you're dealing with now. What's your new setup, and was the lawn part of when you were house searching? Was that were you no, I can't buy this house because the lawn? You could just talk us through the process of the move and all that.
Yeah. So it would have been about 4 years ago, 4 and a bit years ago, that we bought our old place, fully renovated the inside. And then it was sort of looking, it was a little bit small for us, particularly on the inside. The block size was a good size block and enough room for the kids and everything. But inside, it was we want a bit more space to stretch out and a bit closer for my wife's work and that sort of thing. So yeah, started looking, and obviously the lawn was a big consideration, as to, not wanting to have to put up with something that I couldn't work with and make look nice. So yeah, we sort of spent a bit of time looking around and eventually found this place, which we really enjoy. I think to start off with, the back lawn space that I first had to work with was just a little bit smaller than our old block for the backyard. So yeah, definitely a much bigger house. We've got a bit of work to do on the inside of this one as well, which we're going to slowly work through, and I'm going to be working on throughout this year, when I'm not working myself and taking on that sort of stay-at-home dad role. So bit of renovating on the inside, and we've been here, like I said, 2.5 months or so. So I've been transforming the lawns, which has all been on Instagram, and then slowly taking that a bit further and enjoying all of that. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of work to get this all up to scratch and maintain it. But yeah, it's a lot of enjoyment comes with it, and hopefully creating a nice house for us to all live in as well. And yeah, going to really look forward this year as well to spend more time with the kids. And we start swimming lessons next week. We've got a pool at our new place, so getting into swimming lessons and all that sort of thing. So yeah, definitely in a very, very fortunate position as a whole, with being able to do what I'm doing at the moment and what we've done with moving to this house and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's definitely a very fortunate time and a very exciting time for all of us. That's for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah. I have a similar story of buying a house, a fixer-upper, and doing renovations and everything to the lawn, but we're looking to potentially move in the next year, and I can agree that the lawn is one of the most important things. It's like, it's okay, which way is the sun hitting? Am I gonna have stripes? Is it gonna
Trees.
pop? Or
Yeah.
my buddy moved into a place, and the way that the sun hits it, the only stripes you can see are as if you're looking out your window, so the neighbors can't see your stripes. It's like, yeah, that'd be a no go for
selfish.
me.
It's so selfish to
It
keep
is.
those to yourself.
Yeah.
Vince, a question
But
for you. Would
yeah.
you ever drive past your house again after you've sold it? Could you go back there
100%.
again?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
It'd
You would
probably
want
be
to
hard
see?
for Vince, but
I would, and I would see how well it's continued to be maintained.
I
It'd
would-
break your heart, wouldn't it?
I would, just because I don't know who it was, but someone who I followed along the way when I was first getting into it moved. Might have been Jimmy Lewis. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it was someone out that way, and they did it, and like just complete. The lawn was just gone.
No.
So I think just to like see once, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's it.
You'd have to do it at least once.
you know,
You got to do it.
yeah. I've often
You can't
thought
do
that
it.
if I were to move, that I would literally write out like a full lawn guide, custom for that lawn.
I did
And
that.
it'd be like, here's what I did. You did that?
Yeah, I was
Yeah, but like here's what I did. Here's when to do it. Here's what to look for. Here are the problem areas. Here's what I've battled. Here's what you don't need to focus on. Ignore that.
Yep.
Like, I feel like I would totally do that, because I'd feel terrible if I drove back by the house and saw it was overgrown and just,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you can sift through buyers or not, but I'd almost want to.
Have to screen them based on that. No, I left a plan of like try to mow at least once a week, and like there's this factory where you can go and buy this fertilizer, like at a minimum get this and spread that every 3 months at least. And like, yeah, so I don't know how it's. I've been threatened a couple of times when people were like, oh, I went past your old place today. I was like, I don't want to know. Don't tell me. I can't. No.
You just get a random picture from them, and you open it up, and it's your old front lawn.
Oh, yeah. It would
Nick's
make me
got a
too
restraining order from the previous person who bought the house
Right.
from. This
Yeah,
guy
don't
keeps
contact
texting me about his lawn.
Yeah, two extremes. Want to be too involved in the old lawn, you just never want to see it again. I never want to see it again.
Yeah. Well,
So-
hey, speaking of front lawns, like driving by and seeing them, your new front lawn is very unique. Like, it's like your driveway kind of goes through it and it curves through it, right? Is that what it's doing? Because I feel like it's broken up in all these really unique, kind of rounded off sections.
Edges for days.
Yeah.
Oh, so much edging. Yeah. It's like five sections is what it is.
Wow.
All broken up. It's about 180 square meters, which is. Oh, I only wrote out square meters for the backyard to square feet conversions.
2,000 square feet. I remember I did it already for you.
Yes. So we're talking about that. So each section is kind of 30, 40 square meters or so. So yeah, it's a little bit of stuffing around, but I just got my cylinder mower back onto it 2 days ago. And I'm really excited with some of the curves and the odd shapes with how cool that's going to look with some of the patterns and things I'll be able to do in there. Because that's one of the things that I love to do the most is get creative with those patterns and all that sort of thing with the cylinder. So yeah, that'll be enjoyable. I'm just patiently waiting for this front lawn to recover from renovation, because what I had to work with at the start was pretty average. So yeah, it's been a process, but we're getting there with that front lawn. It'll be nice eventually.
So you're doing a renovation, and us cool season American lawn guys, we don't know anything about your type of grass, and your grass is called cuckoo, right? Is that how they pronounce it down there?
Yeah, Kaikuyu for short.
But it's not. So
Use the bleep button.
Yeah.
Never had to use that before.
Welcome to the land down under.
We just got canceled.
Yeah. That'll be edited.
Oh, that's great.
I got a bleep button. I got it, boys.
I think it's similar to Bermuda. I think you
Okay,
guys.
that's what it looked like. It looked like a very thin blade.
Yeah, I think so. We've got Kaikuyu and we've got Cooch. Don't bleep that out as well.
Watch your mouth.
Yeah, but they're kind of similar warm season lawns that we've got here in Australia. And I'm right at the southern point, and well, not the most southern point, but in the southern state on the mainland of Australia, and still warm season grass here. Hot weather at the moment. We're going to be up around 90 Fahrenheit for the next week or so. But yeah, so I've got Kikuyu, which is a warm season lawn. It grows like a weed. Pretty much everyone around here, if they haven't put in turf of some sort or sod, I think you guys call that, then they've got a Kikuyu lawn. So yeah, it's a really good grass type to work with. It looks great.
And that's what you had when you moved in there. So you didn't like plant anything, and you actually you don't plant that. That'd be like a sod because it has stolons and stuff. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can buy Kikuyu seed.
Okay.
Yeah, which normally comes in like a rye blend. So the rye comes through, and the kike will take sort of 3 or so weeks to germinate generally. But yeah, so I don't know. Did you want to sort of know my renovation process and what we sort of do over here as well?
Yeah. What did you do so far?
So to start with, out there, I sprayed all my weeds a couple of weeks beforehand.
Just with that $200 herbicide, right?
that was funny. That was a good one. She's a champ.
Nick, no.
You don't need it. There's
So,
no weeds.
yes.
Go and look. Yeah, so it was really difficult to work around. The first 30 days we lived here, we had 23 days of rain. So it was crazy. And then if you want me to throw in an Australian saying, over the last sort of 3 weeks, it's rained maybe twice. So it's been as dry as a dead dingo's donga. It's really been
Chris, a dingo is a dog.
Oh, I got that.
So yeah, sprayed out my weeds when I could, and then I scalped, dropped the rotary mower down as well, just about as low as I could get. It was really bumpy, so I couldn't get it too low. I scarified my Ryobi scarifier after that. I would have liked to core aerate, but I did a lot of that renovation. Race home from work, do some, sort the kids out for the night, put them to bed, and then finish it once they were in bed until it was dark at sort of 8:30, 9 o'clock. So yeah, I didn't get to core aerate. When I do my back lawn renovation next week, I'm going to core aerate the front as well. So give that another mini sort of renovation. And then I top dressed with some triple wash sand. Vince, watched your sand leveling video on YouTube yesterday, the day before. So it's good to see a bit of sand happening over in the US as well. But yeah, so it's something that I've had heaps of comments about, particularly on TikTok. Why are people not friendly on TikTok? Instagram people
they suck.
Instagram people are great.
man.
TikTok
Just talking
people
about
suck.
that
They're
today.
just sad and angry.
They're out to get you, man.
They're two different crowds, Instagram and TikTok, for sure.
Yeah, it's like people wake up and they're like, all right, do I feel like, I don't know, can I say something that rhymes with grass hole?
Sure.
I feel like not being nice today. I'm going to go on TikTok. If I'm having a good day, I'll log into Instagram and I'll kind of comment on some stuff there. But yeah, so I've had lots of comments about that, the sand versus soil and that sort of thing. But yeah, so across our sort of rule over here is about 1 cubic meter of top dress per 100 square meters. So I've put out 2 cubes across 180 out there. Corrected the levels a lot, but it's just taking a long time to grow back through, just due to the really poor coverage that I had to start with. There was just some really sad grass that was not really well covered throughout. So it's slowly spreading and filling in, like my grass type, which I think is something different for you cool season guys, is that you normally have to seed to fill in gaps, if I'm correct. Whereas the Kikuyu will just grow and spread and fill in all by itself. So there's no need for us to seed too much with our lawn varieties out here. But so it'll just gradually take over. Just being patient is the hard part.
Is it spongy like Bermuda? Like when you step on it? Or like what does it feel like with barefoot?
I mean, it's not like a super soft leaf. It's I don't know. If you have a nice lawn that's well maintained and everything, like anything, it's you can roll around on it and play with your kids and everything if it's looked after. But it's not a really fine, soft, like sort of what I guess a rye or something would be, where it's like really smooth and nice. It is a bit more kind of coarse. But if it's well looked after, it's a beautiful grass.
I had to Google search what exactly that grass was today, because I'm not familiar with it at all. And it sounds like in the United States, if it's here, it's considered a weed and it's like highly invasive. Like that's how well it spreads. But yeah, it says that if it's well managed, though, it could literally grow up to an inch a day. Like, do you think that's like true?
Yeah, it can really, really grow quick. Yeah.
Do you use any regulators or anything on it? Or you're trying to get it to grow now, so.
Yeah, it's really commonly used a lot out here is people using growth regulators. And if I had more coverage and that sort of thing, I'd be using it too. At this point, we'll just see how much recovery and where I'm at, before the end of the main growing season. But yeah, I was sort of on my old lawn going at about 20, 25 millimeters just to keep about an inch, I think, for you guys. So trying to keep it just a little bit taller for the nicer stripes rather than cutting super, super low. And yeah, it was sort of at points mowing twice a week, and that's what I could manage with my schedule, and easily could have been doing 3 or 4 a week with the amount of clippings I was getting off that, off that amount of mowing. So yeah, it can really go nuts, especially if you're pumping in nitrogen, obviously throughout the main growing season too. Like, it just takes off. So yeah, growth rate regulators are important for sure.
Well, the cool thing is, half of us are knee deep in snow right now. I was a week ago. It's all thawed. I think Chris still is at least knee deep.
I think I'm like chest deep after today.
Sorry to hear that.
I know.
Anyways, where I was going with this is, like, Nick, you're just getting into prime season, aren't you?
Yeah, we're pretty much there. Yeah.
That's awesome, because like we're just like jonesing for a good lawn mowing, and you're actually out there doing it every day, which kind of takes me into, like, you've been doing all this work on your lawn, you have all these plans. Like, something unique about you, I think, that we're all jealous of, is you just transferred from being like a working dad and husband to more of a stay at home, right? Could you kind of talk me through what just recently happened for you?
Yeah, so it was sort of April last year. So I was a PE teacher, secondary school PE teacher. And
the second best job on the planet.
What's the best?
The stay-at-home dad.
Of course.
You knocked them both out.
Missed that one.
I love it.
Yeah, so, and we sort of were looking at, because I was just on a single year contract, just rolled over from another single year contract. Sort of had conversations with my wife about what our schedule and how things were going to look once the boys started primary school, which is the age of sort of 5. Ollie's got 2 more years at home before he starts at school. He's at kindergarten now. So yeah, we sort of looked at, with her running her business, she runs a finance broking business, mainly helping people with home loans. And so for her, being a teacher is great for school holidays when the kids are home, being able to stay with them then. But in terms of school drop-offs and pickups and that sort of thing, we're like, how is that going to look for us? My wife certainly couldn't do and run her business and her team, which is currently at, I think, 7 or 8 staff members that she has. She couldn't be doing that on a sort of 9:30, 9:45 to 2:30, 2:45 work day. There's before and after school care options and that sort of thing. But yeah, we're sort of in a position where we didn't both have to work full time. And that, the option was there for me to be able to step back from work, to take away some of those issues, spend more time with our kids, even now to, be able to start swimming lessons and that kind of thing with, especially now that we have a pool at our house, that sort of safety around the water, really, really important for us. So yeah, we just sort of assessed how things were going to look for us, what's going to work the best, do we both have to work full time? No, we don't. There's lots of parents that have to do that, and completely understand that. And I grew up in a situation where my mum was working as much as she could, and we were really lucky to have my grandparents who really helped us out a lot. But yeah, sort of we just looked at how things were going to look over time. Do we both have to work full time? No. And so this situation is going to work really well for us, and especially with the in terms of me having stimulation, things to focus on, is obviously that really quality time with the kids and renovating the house, and taking my social media, which is my passion hobby as well, to new levels, and beyond that, and how that looks. And if I teach again in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I'm not sure. But at this point, we've gone down this path of what works best for us all and what we're all happy with. And we'll just, as the years go by, to keep making decisions based on that and what works. And yeah, I think definitely very, very lucky to be in this position for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations, man. That's really cool.
And congrats to your wife too. Obviously, she's very successful. So, like, it sounds like she's running a great business as well. So, now that you have this free time, you're done the renovations, you got more stuff planned. What are your goals, like long term, for this new lawn? Is there any certain products that you're looking to try on it? Anything new? Is there anything that you're like excited about in the near future here?
I'm just excited to stripe it. I just really want to get
Attaboy.
some stripes going as soon as I can. It's been too long. I'm having withdrawals.
Yeah.
See this twitch? But yeah, no, like I think not really. It's more so about just the consistency, the patience. Not going crazy and going out and putting out crazy amounts of fertilizer every 2 weeks and being like grow. But yeah, just being patient, enjoying the process, and yeah, just getting to that end result eventually. I know that what I'm going to have, hopefully back end of this season, definitely next sort of spring, summer, I'd expect to be having a pretty nice lawn again, exactly like I had at the place I just moved from. But something I really, really want to do is bring in kind of project lawns and things like that. Like even my next door neighbor, full of weeds. Love to make friends with them and be like, hey, can I put your lawn all over my Instagram? And just sort of keep relating it to people that don't have that immaculate lawn. I think it gets to a point where people look at your Instagram, look at your lawn. It's incredible. It's stripes. It's level. It's amazing. And they can't really relate to it too. So I want my lawn to be that. But yeah, I think something that I sort of talked about earlier in terms of getting people to spend less time on social media is to kind of do things like that as well. And that's something in my new job as stay-at-home dad is, being able to do things like that, to keep relating to those sorts of people. And like I said, get them out into their yard as well to go, all right, well, I can't relate to those incredible diamonds that he's got on his beautiful green, lawn, but that thing full of weeds, I'm going to follow that journey and, follow those easy steps to make a nicer space for my kids to play in and that sort of thing. So, yeah, I think lots of things that I want to do and sort of keep in that capacity. Yeah, I guess give people the information, the knowledge, the tools, as well as the satisfying stripes in my feed to, hopefully be able to get people out there more.
That's awesome.
Speaking of the like knowledge and stuff, you're battling high pH, aren't you? I just saw a recent video.
Yeah.
What are you doing about that?
I've got some sulfate of ammonia that I've put out. So that's, going to help me lower the pH a bit. Talking to Ben from Lawn Tips, who I mentioned earlier, the pH battle can be a long one. So yeah, not just one application and it's done. But I think, doing that soil test is something that I really should have done a while ago. I've been recommending it to people in the DMs for a little bit and was finally like, I should do that myself. So it's just good to know those sorts of things and to be on top of those kinds of things. Like someone, was messaging me the other week saying, I'm doing this. And, I'm just not quite getting the results. And they did a pH test and saw that their pH was super high as well. And it's like, all right, there's something I can correct and fix, So yeah, just kind of being aware of those sorts of things is important. So hopefully I can bring that pH down a bit and keep working on those stripes.
You mentioned earlier Ben Sims, and actually I follow Lawn Tips for a while now, and I just start really watching his videos because he's building this golf green, and it's insane. It's an insane build. I think he said he's put like 20K into it already, and I mean so much more that sponsors and stuff that have helped out and stuff, and just incredible. So besides Ben, is there anyone else in like America that you watch on YouTube, or in Europe, or who's like 3 of your favorite go-to channels?
I'll tell you what, Rooted Lawn Co.'s got a great channel. Love watching that.
All right, next.
Homer pick.
Love Ryan Knorr stuff. Love watching him. It's been good to follow him along and see what he's doing. I love that, real storytelling aspect that he's got to his channel. And it's good to learn as well, a lot of what he's doing with his cool season grass and that sort of thing. Because we've got, some people that might DM me from New Zealand or Tasmania, and some who's sort of got cool season lawns. Just to understand that a bit more and follow that journey is good too. Put me on the spot a bit. There's a few channels that I like to watch. There's a couple in Australia, but yeah, Ben's definitely the main one. I don't know, any recommendations? You'll probably say one and I'm like, yeah, I watch that all the time.
Probably GCI, Pete Denny. I'm sure you've heard of him. I enjoy Connor Ward. He doesn't put much content out this year, but he doesn't care, and he just does whatever, and he just has such an awesome personality that it just makes it so enjoyable to watch someone that's just like you just enjoy making content, enjoy taking care of your grass, and he films it, and he's awesome at it. So that's another good one to watch.
Are there portions of New Zealand? So you mentioned cool season lawns in Tasmania and New Zealand. Is that due to elevation or just because of where they're located in relation to you?
Because they're so far south, it starts to get cold.
It's more south?
Yeah, just more south. Tasmania, they're a lot cold. Yeah, like closer to Antarctica, obviously. So New Zealand is kind of east of us and south. I think the tip of New Zealand the top might be kind of level with us in Melbourne, Victoria. So yeah, definitely a lot sort of colder in those climates. Like for us here, it barely gets below 0 degrees, like 32 Fahrenheit. Got that written down. But yeah, so for us, it barely gets below that in the coldest, like the lowest temperatures of winter. And our winter maximums are around 10 degrees, 50 Fahrenheit. So, it's not that cold here. And definitely our spring, summers, even into autumn can be really warm. So yeah, for them, a bit colder. So for them, they just sort of cling on a little bit like some of you guys do through the heat of summer. And then they'll rock the rye lawn or whatever else, the cool season, for the rest of the time.
That's super. Yeah, that's interesting. That makes perfect sense. I wasn't sure if it was more so elevation related or what. There's portions over here where we've got some southern territory, like southern states, where it's more elevated and you can get away with a cool season grass versus a transition zone or a warm season. So I wasn't sure. So well, this has been really awesome and fun. This has been an awesome conversation. I hope it's not our last on the airwaves, which is good. We'll certainly be chatting, offline for sure. So Nick, why don't you tell everybody where people can find you, all of your social handles, and he's got loads and loads of educational content on there. Just really fun to binge, like Vince said. But where can people find you, and where can people binge you?
So Instagram and TikTok is Lawns in Good Nick. I'm currently building a website and adding a few bits and pieces to that, which will have a few other educational bits and pieces and articles and things on there. And like we were talking about off air beforehand, I'm in the contemplation phase of YouTube. So yeah, I don't know, keep putting that into the YouTube search bar, and maybe something will pop up in the next couple of months. We'll see. But yeah, just Lawns in Good Nick is where it's at.
I love it. Well, go follow him, give him his support, say what's up from the States or wherever you're watching or listening. And we are going to be signing off with another episode. We've got a full slate for the next basically 2 months filled with a lot of cool people coming on our show to come talk with us. So definitely stay tuned. Whole different array of who's coming on. It's definitely not just lawn people, which is going to be pretty fun. So I'm excited. Nick, thank you for joining us. I know the time zones are all sorts of different, but I think it's lunchtime for you. So go chow down. I'm Ope, along with Andrew and Vince and Nick for the Lawn Feed, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
You can have a shrimp on the barbie.
Hey.